Welcome to the Home League Show, the Football Guys Home League Show, where we celebrate the foundation of fantasy football, the home league experience, and all the fun that this great game offers.
Fantasy football isn't just about winning championships, it's about connection and creativity and the stories that bring your league to life. And this season, we've touched on countless topics. We've talked about league engagement, championship celebrations, conflict resolution, and so much more. Make sure you go back and check those episodes out. They are chock full of great information to help you make your leagues absolutely incredible and get you ready for the offseason ahead.
Today, though, we're talking Super Bowl. We're talking about the Seahawks dominance. We're talking about the Seahawks winning the Super Bowl coming up. Now, we're talking about Super Bowl parties. We're talking about Super Bowl parties and how they can relate to your fantasy football league. Super Bowl, it's the final chapter of a fantasy football season. It's a great opportunity for you and your league mates to get together and celebrate this great game of football. Even if you're not with your league mates, there's a lot you can take away from hosting the Super Bowl party, transferring it over to hosting a fantasy football live draft.
Yeah, like we live in this time of like red zone football, and the Super Bowl is kind of like the one game of the year that everyone's watching the exact same game. And that's really exciting. Get your league together to watch that one game or don't. Like if you're out, even if you're apart from each other. I've got a friend that's off serving in Kosovo right now. He'll be watching the Super Bowl with his what are they called? The squadron. He'll be with his squadron watching the Super Bowl. But it's good to know that we'll be back home watching the same game. We can message them back and forth. That's awesome. Um, Even league members who've checked out of elimination, they're back. They're watching. Everyone's in on it. But Kevin, you kind of touched on it, and I do want to give you your flowers. I want to talk about it. Congratulations to your Seattle Seahawks heading to the Super Bowl, play the New England Patriots. How are you feeling about it?
Well, feeling great. I think we did a great job this season. We, as in,
Okay.
like, we're out there with the team doing it. But no, it's a phenomenal season. Obviously, it's fun where it kind of comes out of nowhere. Um, Definitely a shock if you think about, last year, Geno Smith and everything. But what a squad! They put together a great season. I'm excited to see what happens. It was fun.
Mhm.
It certainly was fun. Down the stretch of the season, beating the Rams, beating the Niners, clinching that home field, getting that home field. It was electric in this city, in this town, in this region. And going through the Rams and the Niners in the playoffs was as fun as could be.
Yeah.
And then, on the other side of the dial, you got the Patriots, and we have a little bit of revenge, right? I was
Hmm.
at that Super Bowl. I saw the life leave that stadium because it was dominated by Seahawks fans, and it's time for the Seahawks to get revenge. I do feel like you can never kind of recoup. I mean, that LOB team had a chance to beat Manning, Brady back to back and kind of seal their legacy. They already have a great legacy, but it's hard to ever get that one back. But at least after we destroy this Patriots team,
Oh, no, he didn't.
that doesn't have a lot of advantages, I think the Seahawks fans are going to be pretty happy. But all
Yeah,
things considered,
I
any
did
given
ask
Sunday,
you
right?
any given Sunday. That's right. I did ask you. I was like, Kevin, are you going to go to the game? And you said no because of your experience the last time. You're like, no, I'm not going to go because it's not far from you. I thought, oh, maybe Kevin will make the trip down there. I did see a funny thing that said that if the Seahawks win, the Jets using the number 3 pick on Sam Darnold will have been worth it to keep the Patriots away from one more Super Bowl. So I did think
Of
that was
course,
funny.
of course.
But Kevin, let's get into the show. We've talked about your Seahawks enough. I think at the end of the show, let's give Super Bowl predictions. Why does the Super Bowl actually matter?
Well, it's the biggest game of the season, right? And from a fantasy perspective, there's a good correlation with the biggest event of the fantasy season, which kind of on the reverse end of things, but it's that live draft if you can pull it off. But the football, it's celebrating the game, right? Even if you don't do the Super Bowl with league mates, you do it with friends or family or your grandma or your cousins, like or your block, everyone you're living with or living near, friends. It's just a great way to celebrate this great game, and it's also a good way to kind of experiment for your fantasy league, right? How you want to set up a live draft party, right? I love celebrating the Super Bowl with live draft or with live Super Bowl parties, fun Super Bowl parties that are not live in time, but like alive, right? You want them to be fun. You want people to be engaged in the game. Most of the time, when you're hosting a Super Bowl party, people don't care about the teams playing. It's not every day where you get to host a party and it's your team. For
Yeah.
me, my Seahawks. So I always want to, and often with our Super Bowl parties, it's a mixture of friends and family and stuff. And a lot of people, they don't care about who's on the screen. They care about commercials. They care about entertainment. And so I
Mhm.
like from a entertainment standpoint or from a party planning perspective to do things to make the game more fun, right? So that's where like my passion for making the Super Bowl party a fun experience comes from. Joey, what are your experiences with Super Bowl parties?
So like the Super Bowl party for my friends, I've mentioned my Golden Gnome League many, many times. It was actually like the first like social event that I was ever invited to from that friend group. And it's become like an annual tradition. We get together, we have a lot of fun. We've made it our championship ceremony date. So before the national anthem, probably about a half hour before the national anthem starts, we'll start our championship ceremony. We let our champion make a speech. Usually, we ask the kids to leave the room because it can get a little dicey with the language. Not so much since we've had kids, to be honest with you. We've cleaned it up a lot, but we just make it a whole celebration of the league, of our friends. Families are invited. And then we used to at halftime go outside and play football. And then a few years back, someone ruptured their Achilles, and we had to put an end to the halftime football and realize that we should leave our glory days behind us. But we just make it super fun, great foods. Everybody brings a dish so that the host isn't stuck on the hook for all the food. And we just have an absolute blast, have some beverages, and just enjoy each other's company. But yeah, it's a way to bring the fantasy league and the spouses and the kids and to celebrate them too, because they were there, while their moms and dads were playing fantasy football all year. They didn't get to really be involved as much. So it's really great to catch up on them with them as well.
I love it. Now, obviously, draft day, for fantasy league and Super Bowl are the two biggest in person opportunities for a friend group or for a fantasy league. And many leagues do hit the nail on the head with the draft day, right? But they do miss the opportunity for the Super Bowl. I love how you bring your league into the Super Bowl. I often with parties where are going to have many league members there, but it's not the entire league. But it's such a great creative way to kind of put a cap on the season, but also have an opportunity and create an opportunity to spend more quality time with fantasy leagues and your league mates. Like we've talked about countless times, that connection, that camaraderie. That's what really fuels a great fantasy league. And the Super Bowl is obviously a huge opportunity for that. And at a Super Bowl party, there's one thing that stands out. It's games, right? That's the one
Mhm.
way to kind of
Yep.
keep people engaged with the game and having fun. Like I said, a lot of times when people are watching the Super Bowl, they might not care about who's playing, but games they do. That does the trick for sure. So let's talk a
Yep.
little bit about Super Bowl squares. Classic. It's definitely one of the first things people think about when they think about a Super Bowl party. Um, it's such a consistent game. It's fun. It's easy, right? You do squares. You have a grid. Everybody gets entries into a random grid, right? Where you get your name in the squares. You give out an award for each quarter and then the end of the game. It's a great way to do it. Have you had some experience with playing Super Bowl squares?
Yeah, and I think that's we talk about getting people engaged, and we talk about league engagement, but getting party engagement, having a simple game that everyone can play, that can understand. Everybody can pick numbers on a grid. They can put their name on it, or if you assign the name out beforehand, whoever, if you buy into it, however it is. But yeah, I mean, it's an easy game. Everyone can understand, gets everyone hyped. I like the squares that do by the quarter because it keeps people there the entire game, and it has four individual prizes, and you can do like one big one at the end for the final score. But just having that where people are watching, just not even the main score of the game, but every quarter, that's a lot of fun, and that's what we've done on my Super Bowl parties. So I enjoyed Super Bowl squares a lot.
Squares are great. I love prop bets. Obviously, that's a huge
Yeah.
part of the Super Bowl experience. So many different quirky bets that can be made on the game. But so what I've done for years is I'll create a sheet, right, of all the quirky prop bets out there. 2 or 3 pages. I'll make everybody show up way early before the game to fill out their prop bets. And put in some fun ones that I just randomly make up. Obviously there's examples. You got the first touchdown, the Gatorade color, the first turnover, the longest touchdown, over under on the anthem, who wins the coin toss. Um, these are fun things to do, and it keeps everybody again engaged every play of the game, right? And again, if you don't care about who's winning, you care about who's winning the prop bet quiz. And so traditionally I've made that sheet, decorated all kinds of images, and it's easier now than ever with with a Canva or whatnot, just to make a fun sheet, a prop bet sheet. Love that kind of thing. And with your fantasy league, I mean, you can have a prop bet quiz and
Mhm.
and have perks that come from winning it, whether it's picking a draft position or something league related. You can tie into the winner of that prop bet quiz if you're doing it with league mates. Have you ever done anything like that?
I haven't, but I think I might now. You and I, we host the show together, and I can't say that everything we've ever suggested I've done, but I've pulled stuff that you've brought to me, and I've brought into my league. So I think I will kind of inject my league into the prop sheet that's coming in to my league this year.
And
And
talk
I don't
about
think it. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say talk about trivia in fantasy based games as well.
I was gonna say it probably comes as no surprise, and I'm gonna give a cheap plug to Trivia Night Live. I host a trivia show every week with football guys, and so I love me some trivia. And I think the best way to inject trivia is into the Super Bowl week. You can do it between quarters. We've got a lot of commercials going on that are exciting to watch, yes, but if you don't care about the commercials, throw trivia breaks in, and have a little trivia competition. You could do it on a sheet of paper. You could do it out loud and just have people raise their hand and give out little prizes for each answer. The kids get involved. They love it. You can do mascot trivia for the kids. That's really fun. But it can also be just simple categories like who scored the most fantasy points in the season. You could do guess the preseason ADP, who's the better value pick. Lots of different ways you can go with trivia, historic trivia, Super Bowl trivia. Love me some trivia. Other games and activities that you can do. Commercial bingo card. Bingo cards are super fun. So if you see an insurance commercial, you've got a square for insurance, auto dealership, a beer, a potato chip company. You get the idea. Do a free space in the middle there. That's always good for bingo squares. One thing though about the Super Bowl squares, we are going to have the Football Guys Home League show Super Bowl squares that you can print out. We're going to have a PDF for you. We'll put that up on social media so you guys can download that. Our amazing graphics guy, Dylan, is building that right now for us. We're very excited for that. Other games you can do, you can rate the commercials. Halftime show performance. Kids or your last place competitor. That could be a last place punishment. You have to do the halftime show. If you're not a Baboni fan, you can, and I said that correctly. I've been correcting people on how to say Baboni all week. That is the correct pronunciation of a Baboni. You can have them perform at the halftime show if you don't want to watch him. But hey, like I think he's going to be great. Guess the penalty before the ref says it. That's a lot of fun. You could do it for the adults, not for the kids. Drinking challenges, like drink if they, throw 2 flags in a quarter, things like that. Football trivia between quarters. We mentioned that a little bit. Football charades. Who doesn't love charades? I know I love some charades. Who am I? You can do players, coaches, celebrities. Touchdown dance contest. That can get a lot of hand. And football toss into baskets. Lots of different games and activities you can do while the game's going on to break up the game in between quarters, get the kids involved. Lots of cool stuff there.
Yeah, it's endless, really. Like I think about, a football party, a Super Bowl party. Again, it's gonna be a mixed group. Everybody's different with who's coming to their Super Bowl party. Sometimes, again, like I said, it's just family and friends. Sometimes it's league mates. Sometimes it's college roommates. Sometimes it's, again, it's just your block party, in your neighborhood, right? Every group's gonna be different. So I think with a lot of these things, some are applicable, some aren't. But the key is again engaging the group, right? In a fantasy league, you want the league to be connected. You want it to be fun. You want that camaraderie to elevate. It's the same thing with a Super Bowl party. You want to do things that make it fun, and all these things certainly do that. And one thing that certainly impacts the atmosphere is the decorations. I think
Mhm.
decorations are huge. This definitely ties into a live fantasy football draft. Lighting is something you can do. Lighting is big. You can have team lights for the two teams that are competing in the league in the champion or in the Super Bowl.
Mhm.
You can have banners, uh, you know, logos, tablecloths, split by colors. Again, uh, cups and plates that can be certain colors for the teams, just making it kind of again a fun environment with balloons or jerseys from the teams participating. You have a chalkboard, a whiteboard that has the score tracking, the prop bets and that kind of stuff. I mean, anything you can do to decorate and make the event fun. It helps. It helps makes the Super Bowl experience better. And again, it's a great testing ground for what you can pull off in your live fantasy football draft. Food is another thing that is huge. It's
Mhm.
great. It's huge at every party you go to, but Super Bowl, it brings out the best when it comes to food. Whether everyone's bringing a special dish, or you can really get crazy and just theme it out. Whether it's food colors that are consistent with the teams playing in the Super Bowl, or even better, have it regional. Like have say guess Seattle versus New England. Like have some lobster and some salmon, right? Like
Coffee and
like
clam chowder. Like,
there you go. Like theme it for the teams that are participating, right? It
mhm.
helps you kind of get involved in the experience of this great game. And obviously, you can decorate cookies and cupcakes with the right colors,
Mhm.
wings, with different sauces, one per team. There's just so many different ways, and obviously, with like drinks, team colored drinks, signature
Mhm.
cocktail or mocktails for each team. It's endless. But the key is the goal is the inspiration is just making it fun and learning how you can entertain a group of people and keep them engaged and transfer it over to your fantasy football league if you can.
Yeah, like a way to combine the food and the games is, in Seattle at the Pike's Place Market, they throw the fish to knock the cup off the head. That could be a game. Go get a full salmon from your local fish market and knock a cup off the people's heads. People will enjoy that. Kevin, would you do that at your Super Bowl party?
Let's go. We might have to, right? Even if we're
You could
Seattle
get like
based, we should.
a stuffed fish, right? You don't have to get a real
Yeah,
one,
that's a
but a real one
great
would be
game.
funny. Have you ever
That's a
like
great.
I'm gonna take us off the rails. Have you done that? Gone to the market where they throw the
Oh yeah,
fish?
yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. We've been
I
down
went
there a
when I was
bunch.
like 12 and saw a kid get smacked in the face because the guy didn't throw it because they usually throw it really good, and the kid
Oh
just
yeah.
got walloped by a full salmon. It was
I
hilarious.
love it. I love it. I was gonna
Um,
say though, kids. You bring up. You mentioned kids.
yeah.
Kids are often a huge part of fantasy or the
Yeah.
Super Bowl party, right?
Mhm.
So ways to incorporate the kids' excitement in the game, whether it's just games. I like what you said. Have a fake fish that you throw and hit something off of a table. It's a game, right?
Yeah.
We want people to be inspired about this great game of football. We want to raise up the next generation with passion and love for the Super Bowl and all the good that comes from it. And so incorporating kids into all this stuff, huge when it comes to just making it a special day.
Yeah, and I mentioned the pregame or halftime football game. You go outside and play. Get the kids involved in that. That's a way that like our as we've gotten older. That's the way you don't have to go out be a playmaker. Get the kids involved. Be the all-time quarterback. Things like that. You could also have a photo corner with football props and team signs. Have a Super Bowl photos. Those are fun. Make some memories there. Prediction cards placed at every seat. Prize bags for the winners. Have some goodie bags for the people coming to your party. You appreciate them coming out. Let them know you love them. Loser task. And this is something that we have done where our champion usually gets a front row seat, our fantasy champion. They get the best seat in the house, whatever one they want. And if our loser is present, they need to be their server for the afternoon, evening, whatever you want to, whatever time zone you're in to watch Super Bowl. Is it 6 o'clock this year? I think it's 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I think so.
Um, you can do a final score prediction sheet. Lots of fun things you can do there.
Well, I was gonna say you bring up the loser thing. It's not just a way to incorporate a fantasy loser, but if you divide, you have a room again. Nobody's in your league. It's just friends and family or
Mhm.
whatnot, and half the crowd is going to be rooting for one team. Half the crowd is going to root for the other. Have them pick their sides, and that team that loses, maybe that whole group is dutied with, you know, did I say
Cleanup.
dutied with? I said
Yeah,
dutied with.
duty. That's fine.
No, their duty is to
Yeah.
clean up the duty, clean up the mess.
They could be clean up they could do a lap if you live in like a cul-de-sac. The place that we have the Super Bowl party at my buddy Greg's house every year.
Yeah.
They live in a big loop and it's like a mile loop. So you can make the people run. Whoever picks the Seahawks to win the Super Bowl, once they lose, they have to run the lap.
No chance, no chance. But no, just doing fun things like that. I think the premise of this show is thinking outside the box, right? With
Yeah.
your fantasy league, you know, stealing ideas, learning ways to maximize fun in your fantasy league. It's the same thing with the Super Bowl party. Make it fun. Look for inspiration out there. There is a big parallel between, again, the live draft experience and a Super Bowl party. On draft day, there's hope, there's optimism, it's a fresh start. For the Super Bowl, it's a time for reflection, closure, and legacy. Hopefully, when it comes to some of the teams pulling off the championship, both work because, again, people are coming together, they're enjoying food, they're enjoying rituals and traditions. Hopefully, there's some trash talk in there. And there's just shared attention. People are coming together. They're focused on the game. They're focused on the halftime show. They're focused on the commercials. They're focused on having fun and being connected with other humans. Which in today's world, that's is valuable as gold.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of touched on the getting the kids involved, and like I think when I was a kid, my uncles and my grandparents, watching the Super Bowl. I mean, that's kind of what got me excited for it as a kid. Like, oh, the grown-ups are doing this. They're watching the game. They're excited. They're hooting and hollering. I want to do that too. Get them at a young age, folks. You get them while they're young. You get them interested, and they'll be fans for life. So I love that. I've got both my girls. I'm going to shout out Taylor Swift. Had Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey not got together, my daughters probably would have never watched the Super Bowl, but now every Sunday they're glued in with me, even when dad has to work. They're, dad, are the Chiefs playing today? Or my oldest daughter loves Joe Burrow. Um, Getting kids involved early, I love that. But let's talk about bringing your fantasy league into the Super Bowl. We've touched on it a little bit. Let's kind of center in on that a little bit. Um, do at least one league specific thing. We mentioned having the championship ring or the belt presentation. You could read the final standings out for everyone to hear. Not everyone that's going to be at your Super Bowl party is going to be in the league. There's nothing better than telling the person that came in last place, they came in last place in front of their wife and children or their husband and children. Nothing better than that. Um, you could do a short season recap, recap the season, have the commissioner kind of read a syllabus of what happened during the season. You could do some award replays if you did the awards earlier in the off season or once the season ended. You could go through that once again. But we've mentioned that one of the best ways to get people in your leagues involved is assigned roles. So have your champion get the best seat. Have them be the host of the evening if they want to be the host. Since they won the championship, it's their Super Bowl party to plan. Let them take the reins. And then they get to be the first pick in the games. That's a good way to do it. Last place, we've mentioned it. Have them be the server for the day. They could, if you want to make them do this, they could buy all the food. They could be on cleanup duty, lots of different things. The runner up, they go around, they collect all the entries for the Super Bowl squares. They keep score of all the events. Lots of things they can do there to keep them involved, keep them engaged, and keep your party going a little better. You could add stakes if you're incorporating fantasy football leagues. So fantasy managers, they need incentives. So the trivia winner chooses a draft slot. So whoever wins the trivia contest, when they win that trivia contest, they get to pick whatever draft slot they want. If you want to put that on them, Super Bowl squares winners get a draft advantage. Maybe they get to move up 2 spots in the second round. You can don't do the second round. That's crazy. Let's do the fourth round. Move up 2 spots in the fourth round. Things like that. Prop bets. The loser of that could take the draft theme or location for the following year. Small stakes equal massive attention.
I love it, and I think that bringing your fantasy football league to your Super Bowl party is just it's huge. Again, this could be a group where no one in your league is even in it, but you're Joey, I like this. As an ambassador, you want to be, I think you should be an ambassador for this great game of fantasy football. You yourself, person watching this show right
Mhm.
now, listening to the podcast, be an ambassador. If you love fantasy, you love the fantasy experience, and you want more people to have a positive experience, staying connected, you know, increase camaraderie with friends and family in their fantasy leagues. Be an ambassador for this great game, right? So to bringing fantasy into your Super Bowl party, showing people how great a fantasy football league is, you're going to do good when it comes to kind of spreading the love of this great game. Lean into this spectacle of the Super Bowl. It's the one day to go over the top. Aside from your draft day, of course, and like I said, bring in fantasy league into it. Have some league banners. Um, make a video with a highlight reel of the season. Have walkout music for the league champion. Pregame or halftime. Again, we mentioned before having a pickup football game. That's a lot of fun. There's so many great ideas to make the event fun, and I think that the more you infuse your fantasy football league into something like this, it can be pretty special.
Yeah, and this is how leagues they turn traditions into yearly habits by doing this. Let's keep it simple. Go big or go home. Make it feel like the national holiday it deserves to be. And let's go ahead and make the day after the Super Bowl a national holiday. It absolutely needs to be. Use it as a league celebration or testing ground for your league or events. Use the Super Bowl as a way to test out something, a new competition, a new wrinkle to your league. There's no better day. The NFL, actually, you'll never notice their graphics for the following year are usually on the Super Bowl. The NFL is even testing out their new graphics for broadcasts. It's something I've noticed. I don't know if anybody else has ever noticed that. Implement at least one league moment, even if no one from your league is there. Celebrate and share the love of fantasy football, and then build that year over year. Traditions matter to everyone. And I'm going to give you guys some homework. I want to know all about your Super Bowl parties. I want to know what you've got going on. Send us your setups, send us your Super Bowl squares, your league traditions, your wild rules of punishment. We want to know about it all.
Super Bowl parties done right. Right? They celebrate this great game of football. It's not just about football, it's about shared experiences. Huge parallel between a great Super Bowl party and a fantasy football league draft, but just the fantasy football league in itself, right? You want people connected. You want people to get together and have fun with this great game of football, and this opportunity presents itself. I think people should definitely take advantage of that. Speaking of that, we do have a Super Bowl. Let's talk. I want to hear your thoughts on this Super Bowl, Joey.
Well, like I kind of teased it a little bit, I think, at the beginning. I want to shout out Jay Kuda on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it this week. Brought up a very interesting fact. In the 9 Super Bowls that have been played between teams traveling east to west this century, the team traveling west is 9-0. Now I know streaks are meant to be broken. Um, I do think there's something special with this New England Patriots team. I was down on Drake May at the start of the fantasy season. I didn't really see it. He opened my eyes this year. When it came prior to the postseason starting, I bet on, I'm sorry, Kevin, I bet on the Rams and the Patriots to go into the Super Bowl. I'd like to at least be half right on this. I think the Patriots are going to pull it out. I think their defense is strong enough to stop whatever Sam Darnold's got going on there. Kenneth Walker, take a seat. I think the Patriots are going to win, Kevin.
Okay, I mean this. Yeah, that was your opportunity. No, on any given Sunday,
Mhm.
anything is possible. So, I hate the fact that every category kind of leans towards Seahawks, because that makes me a little nervous. Again, anything can happen, but this team is pretty special,
Mhm.
and defenses win championships. I
Mhm.
remember once upon a time, Seahawks. No, let's not talk about the Patriots. Seahawks, Broncos.
Mhm.
Broncos, one of the best offenses in NFL history at the time. People were doubting them. People were doubting the LOB and the Seahawks, and it was what 43-8, right? I don't want to be too confident because again, anything can happen. At the same time, uh, the Patriots. If I look at their when I look at their schedule, I, it's the easiest schedule I've ever seen in
Yeah.
football. Like it's so bad. The team's good. Team's solid. Their defense is solid, but is it because of their opponents? I guess we're going to find out. We're going to find
Yeah.
out on Super Bowl Sunday. I think that it's going to be a rout. The Seahawks team they've lost 3 games this year, total of 9 points,
Mhm.
right? And you know, the Bucks came into Seattle, snuck one away. Um, our defense was depleted that day. Um, First game of the year, we lost to the Niners. It was kind of a strange end to a game that the Seahawks kind of controlled. They don't get behind. So it's going to be
Mhm.
close or it's going to be a rout. I'm thinking there's just going to be they're just overmatched in New England. But again, I could be totally wrong. This all come back at me. But I think Seahawks in a blowout.
Well, see, now I want the Seahawks to win. I still think I'm going to pick the Patriots because it's not fun if I pick the Seahawks. But because then I can say, well, my Bucks, we beat the Seahawks. So I think
There you
that's where
go.
I need to go with this.
Regardless, it's gonna be fun. I think that this 2 week period before the Seahawks or before the Seahawks win the Super Bowl, before the Super Bowl, and when this show comes out, we're in Super Bowl week. Enjoy it. Enjoy every ounce of it. We got friends that are going to be on Radio Row and going to events and do. I love this. I love
Mhm.
the hype, the silly stupid questions that are asked. At these media events, all the festivities, all the excitement of Super Bowl week. Enjoy it. Consume all that stuff online and on TV. Be a part of this experience, this Super Bowl experience. No matter if you hate these teams, which a lot of people might. Um, have fun with the Super Bowl. Make your Super Bowl party extra special,
Mhm.
and observe, look around, and see what's making that party fun. Implement that into your fantasy league. That's my goal for this show. And I know Joey, you share the same thing. We want to
Absolutely.
make these leagues fun.
Mhm.
So that's going to do it for this episode of the Football Guys Home League show, where we're all about helping fantasy football leagues raise the bar. One draft, one tradition, one connection at a time, and one Super Bowl party at a time. Great leagues aren't built overnight. They're intentionally crafted with care, creativity, and community.
And that's why we're here to be your guide, to share ideas, inspire your next move, and to help you build a league that doesn't just last, but it thrives. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe and leave a review and share your show with your league mates. And don't forget, you can find more tools, strategies, and resources at footballguys.com, where the goal is simple: help you win and make fantasy football more meaningful.
Until next time, stay engaged, stay creative, and keep the heart of fantasy football beating strong all year round. This has been the Home League Show, your guide to a better and better league and a better season. And let's enjoy the off season together because
Mhm.
that's the plan.
Absolutely. All right. Bye, everybody. Go Patriots.
Go Seahawks.
All right. Got my jean jacket on. It's like 30 degrees in Florida today. Got my jean jacket on. Got my Buccaneer sweatshirt.